What's up guys, General Incompetence here and welcome to episode 17 of this Egypt Let's Play on Total War Rome Remastered. At the time of recording this, the first episode of the Iceni campaign on Rome 2 has gone live, probably less than 24 hours ago, so if you haven't yet, please go to my channel, check out that video and let me know what you think. I'll be completely honest, I kind of fucked up on this video. It was the only video that I've recorded without doing a proper audio test, and it didn't pick up my microphone. So I am now recording this retrospectively. So this isn't live commentary, I'm afraid, but it is what it is. But I can say you are in for a treat with this episode. It's going to be a really good one. There's some really good battles coming up. I'm just going to do my best to kind of commentate on what's going on. At this point, I'm kind of looking at how successful a sally forth would actually be. I realized that they had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 mounted archer units, and then at least like 2 or 3 other missile units. And if I sallied forth with this army, I was pretty sure my cavalry would be absolutely torn to pieces before I even had a chance to get anywhere close. So, just kind of making the decision, not going to sally forth at this point. I'm just going to leave them to just besiege me in the hopes that they might actually build some siege equipment and attack me, because all of those mounted archer units will just head straight into my pikemen, or spearmen should I say. I'm in a really good place to then repel the attack. I can bring my own archer units into play at that point, and hopefully do some flanking maneuvers with my own cavalry. So we're going to leave that well alone for now, and hopefully I can actually bring some troops up from Susa and distract them, because if I'm making a move on their capital, then they have got a decision to make. They either keep Artaxata under siege, or they release that siege to go and protect their capital. And ultimately, if I lose Artaxata, whilst that is really annoying because that has the makings of being a pretty decent force, and I think Artaxata is a good settlement to have, just to box in the Parthians, I'm going to finish them off anyway, so it's more just delaying the inevitable, but kind of made the decision, going to leave it as it is, it should be fine. So now to just dive into the rest of the campaign. Now there are a couple of things I also want to talk about in this video as well. The first thing I just want to talk about is what I want to do long term with the channel. I initially started this channel in 2021, did a couple of videos and just kind of gave up on it. But I've been, since I've decided to start doing videos again, I've been really enjoying it, if I'm being honest. I've enjoyed making the videos, kind of making them wherever I can. I'm having to work it around work and seeing my girlfriend and being at her house and what have you. But this is becoming like quite a fun hobby, and even having to problem solve things like this. Like, I'm not a video editor. I have no background in computer science. I've got no background in video editing or sound editing or anything like that. And I've had to kind of problem solve to solve the fact that I didn't record my audio properly. So it's also proving to be a little bit of like a skill learning thing as well, which is, I'll be honest, it's proving quite fun. It's frustrating at times, but fun. I just want to try and keep momentum on this, because I know that I'm never going to be a Lionheart. This is never going to be a channel with nearly 500,000 subscribers. I know that I'm almost certainly never going to make money from it, but I'm already kind of getting to know some of you. Some of you that consistently comment in the comment section, like Flying Pig and Admiral Pump Out and what have you. It's nice. I feel like I'm making friends with some of you, and I really appreciate it. When I get notifications on my phone that you've dropped me a comment. It makes it. I'm ultimately doing these videos for you guys, so it really does mean something that you are liking what I'm doing, and it is nice when I get some new subscribers. I have only just broken the 50 subscriber mark, so I am hardly one of the giants of YouTube. I'm a complete unknown, but it's fun. So I just want to keep this going, and I think ultimately the direction this is going to go in is I'm probably just going to continue with historical stuff. My experience with Total War started when I was in year 7 in school, which for anyone who's not in the UK, you start year 7 when you're 11 years old, when you go to secondary school. I used to watch Time Commanders on BBC, and was like, oh, what's that game? And then my first ever like secondary school history teacher, he started an after-school history club, which was based around the Rome Total War game and all that sort of stuff. And I just bought it for myself, and I just went from there. Like, I absolutely adored Rome Total War. And one of my longest standing of my best friends, Matt, who sometimes comments on the videos, you know, he's a couple of years older than me, but we lived on the same road. We both really enjoyed the games, and we would play them together in summer holidays. You know, we would sit in his room, and he had a little whiteboard in his room, and we would write down, we'd kind of like split a campaign in half. So let's say, for example, if we were playing as, I don't know, if we were playing as the Scipii, one of us would manage the settlements and all the armies that are in, like, Sicily, and one of us would have managed the Italy armies. We'd basically split a campaign in half and take it in turns, because hot seat campaigns didn't exist back in, you know, the early 2000s, and we'd do that during our summer and holidays and whatever, and it was really, really good fun. Then I remember when Barbarian Invasion first came out, I didn't buy it initially, but Matt did, and his computer couldn't pick up on it. Like, he couldn't keep up with the graphics of Barbarian Invasion, so he had to put it on like the lowest graphical settings, so the legs literally looked like upside down traffic cones, which yeah, good times. And then look, Medieval 2 came out with Kingdoms, the Kingdoms expansion as well, and I bought both of those, and I poured hundreds of hours into that game. Eventually Napoleon, which, you know, and I never got Empire until like 2 years ago, just because I didn't. I was of the opinion at that time that I just wasn't interested in any of the more what I consider to be modern warfare, which obviously Empire isn't exactly modern, it's a couple hundred years ago, but I didn't really like the whole gunpowder thing. I liked the whole swords and medieval and, you know, back in antiquity in the Roman times. So I didn't buy that game, but I eventually gave Napoleon a try, which I kind of liked. And I bought Attila as well, and, you know, Rome 2, I'll be honest, Rome 2 was probably one of the biggest disappointments. I think when that came out in 2013, I was just starting my final year of university, and yeah, I remember getting it on release day, playing it, and then never touching it again for the next 6 months, despite the fact that I've been looking forward to this game for nearly 10 years. It was, you know, really shitty, but then you know, eventually they fixed the game. I got the Radius Overhaul mod, which I'm playing with my Iceni campaign, and it was really good fun. And again, I poured hundreds of hours into that game. I shudder to think how many hours in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I think the only probably historical Total War game, I mean, I haven't really played much of the Shogun games, purely because I guess my historical interest personally has always been more on, I guess, more European focus history, or the Americas. So I don't really know that much about, you know, Japanese history or Chinese history, or just anything to do with Asia, really. I don't know much about the culture. I don't know much about, you know, religions over there. I don't know much about you know, any of the historical stuff, because I like to play Total War games depending on what mood I'm in. So yeah, that's why I've never really played much of those. I played a little bit of Attila, but I didn't necessarily like Attila that much. I do own the Troy game, but I never really got into it a lot. I mean, which is strange, because it's exactly the sort of game that I should be interested in. I just think, in general, the Saga series of Total War games are kind of naff. I mean, Thrones of Britannia, I bought that game for £6 during the summer Steam sale. I have not yet opened it, and, you know, we all know how bad the reviews of that are. I'm just waiting for a proper historical title to come out. Which brings me on to my next thing of, like, what do I want to happen with the Total War games? You know, I'm thinking, you know, what do I actually want next? And the answer to that is, ultimately, I don't want a new series to come out. What I want them to do is, I think, which is what most people want, is I either want a Medieval 3 or an Empire 2. And I'll be honest, I would be very happy with either of those. What I ideally don't want them to do is, a Medieval 2 Remastered, because I think that's then kicking the can down the road. If you do a Medieval 2 Remastered, you're not going to do Medieval 3. And I think it was different with Rome Total War Remastered, because we've already had Rome 2, which came out still, yes, it was 10 years ago, but it's, you know, the difference between Rome 1 and Rome 2 and Rome 2 to now is nowhere near comparable. You know, there were so many advances that happened in gaming and the engines that they were using and what have you. I would really like a full Medieval 3 game, start to finish. And it was announced that like Total War have copyrighted the title Total War Medieval. So that does suggest that potentially they are working on a game which they've already copyrighted the title of, and you'd hope that we'd have an announcement on what the next full historical title is going to be within the next couple of months. You'd hope that by the end of 2022 they'd have made an announcement. And my expectation is that a full, historical Total War title will probably be released at some point in 2023, maybe early 2024. It depends on how their financial year runs. Because you'd think that if they're putting all this money in research and development and what have you, that they'll want to see the start of the payoff for it within the next 1 or 2 financial years. So yeah, I don't really have a preference. I mean, it would be Empire that I've started to play Empire in the last 2 years, and I really like that game now. I love the sheer scale of it. It's absolutely amazing. If they manage to keep that same scale, but update it, have the new game drivers that they use, the new updated graphics, all that sort of stuff, I think that would be absolutely incredible. And they could really sort of start to develop things like, how does your supply chain and etc. influence the amount of ammunition that your artillery have? Because as far as I'm aware, certainly in Napoleon, and I think in Empire as well, cannons have unlimited ammunition. So it would be interesting to see how they could change those sorts of things as well. And then, if you think about a Medieval 3 game and what they could do with that, Christ, if you think about even the difference that was made between Rome 1 and Rome 2, insofar as what you could do politically, the agents that are used, the complexity behind the political systems as well. One of the things that I really enjoy about Empire and Napoleon is the complexity of hiring and pretty much hiring and firing ministers. The fact that there are elections, and if you have a really good government in place that's working really well for you, they're very very experienced and they're giving you great buffs. Ultimately, if they are not popular and get voted out, you have to start again. You're going to have a new government, and you're going to have to just see how that works and make it work for you. So I think being able to bring some sort of political governance system into the medieval time would be really interesting, because ultimately, a lot of Europe was very autocratic at the time. It was the rule of a king, but you've got look at how the barons influenced things in the Middle Ages in the UK. So it'd be interesting to see how you could build in things like power struggles and so on and so forth into the medieval times, as well as managing things like food. Food is something that is in Rome 2 that isn't in the medieval games, and would need to be. You'd need to have some sort of food system, and how does that affect attrition and replenishment and so on and so forth. So I'd be really keen to see what a Medieval 3 might look like, rather than just a Medieval 2 Remastered. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wouldn't buy a Medieval 2 Total War Remastered, because I absolutely would. And that's why I bought Rome Total War Remastered, and I'm doing this campaign, because you just have to look at how good the units look now that the game has been remastered. There's the nostalgic element to it as well, so I would buy it. It's just not necessarily what I want. So yeah, and look, that's ultimately what I'm going to be covering in the future of this channel. I will be covering any more historical games that you want to see me play. Like, for example, if you wanted me to have a go at Troy, I would have to learn how to play the game first before I play the campaign. But if it's what you wanted to see, more than happy to do it. If you wanted me to reinstall Attila, because I don't think I even have it installed anymore, and kind of learn how to play that, some good overhaul mods and whatever to balance it all out and make things look better, again, happy to do it. That's no problem. But if you also just want to see me play more Rome 2, some more Rome Remastered, perhaps something on Empire or Napoleon, because I do love those games, let me know if you want to see that. More than happy to crank out that kind of content as well. But do I think that I'm going to be? I mean, do I think I'm going to be playing any Warhammer? Probably not. I mean, I own the first Warhammer game and Warhammer 2. I've not really played that much of it, and I haven't bought Warhammer 3. I mean, I know that the reviews on release were patchy at best. They didn't have a great release, which, and I'll come on to this in a minute, but that seems to be symptomatic of Creative Assembly and the Total War franchise at the moment. But we won't rant about that just yet. So yeah, I mean, that just seems, I like his history and I like strategy. I don't necessarily like the fantasy side of things. I mean, look, I like Lord of the Rings, I like Star Wars and what have you, and I have Divide and Conquer, and I'm eagerly awaiting Divide and Conquer version 5. And if you want to see me play the Divide and Conquer 4.5 or 4.6 or whatever it is at the moment, you want to see that kind of campaign, I will happily do that for you, no problems whatsoever. But that's not necessarily into the whole magic thing. So I'm not really, this is me, I guess, playing content that I enjoy, but sorting it out for what you guys like and want to see. But if you're wanting, a Total War YouTuber that's going to play lots of Warhammer, I don't think that's really going to be me. Now, breaking off from that monologue for a second, just to kind of comment on what I'm doing here, I am just going to auto-resolve that battle with the rebels just to get rid of them and to get rid of the devastation. But what you'll see here is from Nicomedia, I've moved down a relief force to relieve the siege of Pergamum because I don't have the force there to deal with it. Now, the issue that I then have is what happens if that relief force suddenly decides to turn round and face that army in the field. That wouldn't be a good outcome for me at all. So that's something that we've got to be a little bit aware of, and I'm taking a bit of a gamble. And you'll see here at Ataxata, it was a good idea to not sally forth because they randomly decided to relieve the siege, so I can then do some retraining. And you'll see here at this point, I hadn't quite worked out how to do group merging. I thought I knew how to do it. I thought as I was doing here, select and just hit M, it didn't work. But I work out in a few minutes that if you select them all and hit Control M, then it works and you get group merging done. So our problem at Ataxata for now has disappeared. We're going to do some retraining, and yeah, we're going to have to hope for the best when it comes to what's happening at Pergamum and Nicomedia, because we are taking a bit of a gamble in terms of moving that relief force down, which would be plenty to relieve the siege, but not necessarily good enough to stand up to an attack from their king. We're also moving things around. You see, we moved the spy up here, and there are two forces coming down here, which isn't great. So the Parthians are definitely starting to make moves, and we don't have the best force there. The one thing that we do have, so that's why we put in some recruitment, what we do have are stone walls, which makes the defense much easier, but we are probably going to need to throw in some sort of relief force if it does become under siege. And we have also got ourselves a brand new general right here, through marriage. He's not the best, but it's better than nothing. And look, within 3 turns we're going to be able to retrain the Pharaoh's bowmen, so that entire army will be back up to full strength, and we can move north towards the Parthian capital. So that's good. I think at this point I'm just trying to work out, what do I want to do? What do I want to use? Am I going to put... I think at this point I was deciding, do I want to move an army north now and take them on in the field? And I ultimately decided I wasn't going to do that. I was going to retrain and look to move that general across to help protect that settlement, which is a little bit vulnerable. And I'm saying that I still haven't grown that settlement. I haven't really moved some peasants over either yet, so that's not happened. Now, back to what I was talking about a moment ago. I was talking about my frustration. Oh, here I'm just relieving the siege, blockade, and that has a really good effect on my income. Really good effect. But anyway, as I was talking, what has been quite frustrating when it comes to Creative Assembly is their willingness to release incomplete games recently. I mean, that just, it sucks. You know, you used to be able to pre-order a game because, before, if we're talking about the before patches and all that sort of stuff in the good olden days of the 2000s, when consoles and PCs and whatever, you just basically couldn't correct a game after the fact. They had to release a game, and whenever they released it, that's it. You can't fix bugs, you can't do whatever. The release version had to be right. And I think one of the blessings of modern times is that whether it be on a console, so you play PS4, PS5, your Xbox, your Nintendo Switch, or on PC, if things are found in the game that aren't quite right, whether they be various bugs or things that could be better balanced after due to player feedback, that like certain things need to be nerfed, certain things are too OP. You can get a more balanced game, which is great. And also you've got, DLC, free LC, that's all really good stuff. But I think what it's basically resulted in is just a bit of laziness and a willingness of, gaming companies like, for example, Creative Assembly, who are ultimately, I believe, responsible to Sega. It's making them bow to pressure to hit a release date, because they're like, we need these, for our own finances, we need to start recognizing revenue here. And we need to recognize that revenue this financial year, for example. So the game isn't complete. It might be a couple of months away from being complete. They need to go through those final stages of ironing out the bugs, doing some more beta testing and what have you, to make sure it's a properly balanced game. But they don't do that. They just release the game, and they let the audience to effectively be like their beta testing, and they're like, this is fixed, this crashes, that crashes. And I think ultimately, I get it, because all of these gaming companies need to make money. They need to pay their staff, they need to show profitability to continue to operate as a business. I understand that. But certainly from my perspective, I have no confidence in pre-ordering a Total War game anymore. And I'd love to be able to do that. If they announced Medieval 3, I'd love to be like, yeah, I'm going to pre-order it like 6 months in advance, really look forward to it, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy any of the pre-order bonuses that you get through free LC and all that sort of stuff that's exclusive to the pre-order, at least initially exclusive to the pre-order. Excuse me. But I just feel like I'd be paying for a game that would just put me off it, just like it did for Rome 2. And I ended up not touching the game for 6 months. It really bummed me out, and I felt like I wasted my money. And instead, what I'm more likely to do is wait for another month or two, let the game get patched, see more of the Let's Plays that other YouTubers do, because let's face it, one of the luxuries that players like Heir of Carthage, Lionheart, Legend of Total War, one of the kind of luxuries that they have, maybe not Legend of Total War, but some of these YouTubers have, is that they get early access to these games. They get to play them in advance. Yes, there are certain embargoes on what they can show and what they can play and what have you, but they get that other YouTubers like me never will, so they'll be able to bring you that kind of content and get more views far before I will, which is a shame, because when a new game is released, I'd love to be able to, virtually on launch day, start a Let's Play, because more people will want to see that. I'll get more views, the channel would grow more, but that's a whole different conversation. And I do understand why they do it. It's basically free, these YouTubers are effectively free marketing for them, and in return, the YouTubers get more income because they get more likes, more views, and what have you. But back to the original point, what I'm effectively going to have to do is wait at least a month, watch these Let's Plays, see what's going on, see if I actually like it. Actually, just to break off here, the Pontans are being an offer to be my protectorate, but I have to give them Artax Arta, Mazaka, and Nicomedia. And I was just thinking to myself, let me think about that for a second. Fucking no, not a bloody chance. You can be my protectorate, but I'm not giving you shit. I will offer you a ceasefire, and I think I put in there like trade rights and map information. In fact, I didn't even want them to be my protectorate because I want all of their things, but yeah, they were having none of it, as we will see in a moment. See, I even offered to give them map information, but
surely,
no.
You jest.
So they besieged me at Nicomedia, so that is a little bit of an issue. And now you will see my big predicament. Their king has relieved the siege at Pergamum. Nicomedia is now besieged behind me, and I am at pretty much a 2-to-1 disadvantage. I've got just over 2,000 troops. They have got 3,670. And we cannot run anymore. We have to stand and fight. If we lose, Pergamum is pretty much gone, Nicomedia is fucked, and effectively what I would have to do is reroute troops from my planned invasion of Greece that is coming from Rhodes and Crete to deal with the Pontins. So this is a really key battle in terms of where we go from here. So this is it, and we are in a really shitty spot here. And I hope you're going to enjoy this battle. And I will come on to my conversations about pre-ordering games and what have you after, I think probably after this battle, because we want to enjoy this first. And it's at night as well, so it's our first night battle, so that's something. We get to be fair, the graphics on that torch are pretty nice actually. They really did do a good job of remastering this game and making it look like a lot more modern graphics. Which is why it comes back to my point about Medieval 2 and doing a remaster of that. I would get it because it would look awesome. I mean, imagine having the dismounted feudal knights and the English knights and whatever in, you know, late game full armor, glistening armor, you know, marching across the fields of Agincourt and whatever. It would look absolutely awesome. But it's not really what I want. Now, in terms of tactics here, I'm just going to try and hold my ground. I've got the Bastan mercenaries there, and I've got my line of infantry. I'm going to have, I believe, oh yeah, we're just going to have a quick look at the Bastan mercenaries, which look absolutely awesome. They've got funny hats on, basically no coverings whatsoever, but they look menacing. They could, I mean, it would be great if they had more armor, but, I mean, they're badasses. So, the plan is to put a line of bowmen in front, try and catch them as much as I can on the way in, and then just hope that my infantry can hold the line, and I put my cavalry on the right flank in the hope that I can just do something. I don't know exactly what I'm planning on doing with it, but just the hopes that, you know, I can maybe go around the back, take out their missile infantry, and then maybe some reverse charges if my spearmen can hold for long enough. But I'm really unsure. And what we also got to remember here is that this is desert cavalry, not the Nubian cavalry, so it's the kind of the shit ones with the axes rather than with the lances. And this is what we are faced with. I also had no idea what to do with my general. You know, what do I do? My lines are so much more compacted versus theirs. So what I was trying to do here is focus on those Sarmatian mercenaries, because with the exception of their king, who is coming forward here, it is their only cavalry unit, and I need to try and secure some sort of cavalry superiority. But what we see here is them bringing their general forward, a long way forward, and their general is actually vulnerable right now. And if we can snipe out their general, then all of a sudden this battle might go completely the other way. I mean, it's by far their most powerful unit, and we all know that chariots are effective against cavalry, so I am just going for it. I'm putting everything on this one move here in the hope that it works. I'm going to charge in all 220 of my cavalry, let the archers fire at them, and then bring in my chariots in the hope that I can just snipe out this king and get lucky. And look at that. I can't believe it. We've killed their king in the opening seconds of the battle. They just left themselves open, they made themselves vulnerable, and for the loss of 2 men, I sniped out the entire general's unit. Actually no, sorry, maybe more like 3 men or something, I don't know. But what a turn of events. Like, the balance of power is still really against us, but whatever happens, if we end up losing this battle, their king is dead. It's now a leader, like, the army has no general, and that's a huge stroke of fortune for us, like a huge stroke of fortune. Now, what we are now facing here is a situation, I end up pausing the battle just because I'm so, like, hyped from killing their general, and now their Sarmatian mercenaries are absolutely marching directly at my archers. So I'm trying to move my archers back quickly enough to bring them onto my Gnarl Spearmen, and then I can just mow them down, which I do very quickly, for the loss of maybe 50, just under 50 archers. But my Bastard mercenaries, as you can see, are taking a bit of a battering. So I'm now trying to maneuver my Desert Cavalry over to the left flank to deal with all of their archers and their slingers, and try and re-maneuver my lines somewhat, because they are going for a flanking maneuver on my right flank. And if they get in behind me, all is lost. You know, despite everything that I've done, all is lost. I then try and commit my Bastard mercenaries to that unit of, I believe it's Eastern Spearmen, that are going after my cav. The only problem with that is I do leave the Bastard mercenaries really open to their Cretan archers. But I'm now at this point wheeling my cavalry around and going to try and cycle some charges in them. I'm also trying to... My problem also on the right flank is that they've got Eastern infantry, which is really effective against cavalry and chariots. So I'm just having to try and protect myself, but luckily at this point my Gnarl Spearmen are holding the lines really, really well, which is kind of unexpected. I mean, we do have a big morale advantage over the Pontins, but yeah, this is a really tricky spot, and what you'll see here is that I forget about one of my units of cavalry when trying to micromanage this battle, and they just rout. So I completely fuck up, but I do take out the Sarmatian mercenaries, and also you'll see my Bastard mercenaries, I kind of let them get killed as well. I say let them get killed, I don't mean to, but they get killed by Pell tests. I just leave them out too exposed and they die. So I'm now having to try and create some sort of N shape just to protect my flanks and to try and protect the archers, because you'll see some Eastern infantry, while I was concentrating on other things, managed to get in behind. But luckily we're routed by my archers, which is a real stroke of luck. And I think one of the key things in this battle is that you already have fairly low morale, fairly low compared to mine, not disastrously low, but I have killed their king. They are now not getting the benefits of good morale from, you know, a general's encouragement, whereas we still have our king. We still have our general, and keeping our general alive is going to be critical to any success we might have in this battle. So whilst we do need him to take care of some of their slingers and their archers, we need to be careful about over-committing, because if he dies, we are fucked. As you'll see here, they're now coming in on my left flank, and something I don't notice at this point is the Eastern Spearmen that I had previously routed with my archers are now back, and I don't see this. So they get in I believe they get in a charge on my archers, which we'll see shortly. We're now trying to bring my cavalry back into the mix, now that I've chased some of the units off the field of battle, and we are trying to keep my general moving whilst doing them some damage. Look, there are the Eastern Spearmen, but I believe they're now routing. Now I'm splitting my archers in two to try and deal with some of their ranged units, because a lot of their initial infantry attacks have been repelled, and some of them are starting to, like, they were routing, but as you can see, they have now since regrouped and are coming in for another assault. And we just need to be really careful here. Excuse me, we've already lost one entire unit of cavalry. We've lost our Bastard mercenaries. We are outnumbered, and basically the Pontins at this point hold all the cards. We're just trying our best to hold, and for our cavalry to do what little it can to kind of keep them at bay, keep their ranged units busy, and basically force their Eastern mercenaries, their Eastern infantry and their spearmen to attack our lines, because you'd hope at this point that the Gnarl Spearmen would be able to stand their ground excuse me, would be able to stand their ground and hold up against the assaults. Luckily, that unit of Eastern Spearmen tried to come back again. They're exhausted, the morale is terrible, so they actually routed before they even got close to us. And there we go. We are almost now level pegging when it comes to that. They still outnumber us, but that is why I'm currently using my cavalry to chase down the routing units, because one, if they end up rallying, then that's bad news for us, and two, this is such a pivotal battle. We need to make sure that this army is, if we win, is destroyed on the campaign map or is severely weakened. Now at the moment they still have those mercenary hoplites, which I really don't want to charge my general straight into. And I'm doing my best to take out the eastern infantry, but my cavalry are really starting to fatigue now. Here, they're actually trying to route through my lines, which I find is quite interesting, so I get off a couple of pot shots on them. And you'll notice here now that that mercenary hoplite unit and whatever other unit that's there, the Peltests I think it is, are now routing. So if you look at the balance of power, it's really starting to go in my favour now. Things are starting to turn. We are turning the tide in this battle, and it's all due to my cavalry and my chariots. Like firstly being able to snipe out their king was just insane to be able to do that. I can't believe they made such a tactical blunder, but they did, and we are starting to take advantage of that. And as you saw there, one of the units is starting to withdraw. So it's at this point, excuse me, I'm trying to turn the N shape into a U shape, be a little bit more aggressive, getting all of my archers to absolutely obliterate that mercenary hoplite unit, and just start mopping up. You know, we want to kill as many of those routing troops as possible, and I just didn't want to commit to using what little of my cavalry was left to attack, for example, a withdrawing unit of Eastern Spearmen, because that's like there. Of Eastern Infantry, because they have bonus against cavalry. The last thing I want to do is to lose my cavalry right now, because I will almost certainly need them in the future. They've actually got some decent experience on them now, and I need them to win this battle. So I'm thinking my time is better spent at this point using my general and my one remaining unit of desert cavalry to just mop up the withdrawing units, and then we'll just see what happens. We'll see if we can coordinate some form of attack on the withdrawing troops shortly, once we've really mopped up. Now, I don't realise at this point how close all those units are to the edge of the map, and ultimately I can't get there in time, which is really annoying. But we do our best. Here we go. This is me at this point realising that I've kind of made a bit of a boo-boo, and I need to try and deal with this unit of Eastern Spearmen. At this point, I mean, we've completely turned this battle around. Like, victory is almost assured now. From horrendous odds, we've managed to turn it around. I go and try and there we go. They're no longer withdrawing. They're actually routing. And it's an open field day. I can just have at them and clear them up, which is great. We did it. I can't believe we did it. We took out an army of 3,600 and something men with an army of 2,000, and it was their king as well, Heracles. So we need to stop our archers there, just to not kill our own men, which we managed to kill a couple of them, which is really annoying. There's at least what four that have just died. But we've got another chevron, so we're now a 3 chevron cavalry unit. Oh yeah, that is a huge victory in terms of this campaign and what's happening in Turkey right now, in eastern Turkey. You know, if we'd lost that, Pergamum, I mean, that's pretty much a write-off. I wouldn't have been able to get there in time. I wouldn't have been able to send a relief force from Halikarnassus, or certainly not from Sardis on its own, because they could have done exactly the same thing, met them in the field, defeated them in the field, leaving Sardis vulnerable as well, and Halikarnassus is too far away to save. So, effectively, I'd have been absolutely buggered. This means that we can, at least for now, continue what we believe to be our planned assault on Greece against the Brutii, and yeah, we just don't have to reroute anything away from what we're currently doing. And the Pontins are basically really weakened from this defeat. Look at that. For the loss of 577 men, we killed 3,109, and that's a heroic fucking victory. Let's go. I do think that that is the battle and the win of the series so far. So put a W in the chat for my sick battle skills. That was a bit arrogant, but yeah, whatever. Oh well. That battle was fun. and really important. I believe that's their new king, near Ankara. But we are still being besieged at Nicomedia, and we need to and will deal with that. Do not worry, my friends. Do not worry. But back to what I was talking about beforehand. I was talking about pre-ordering games, getting the release day versions and what have you. What I'm having to do now is effectively watch what is other YouTubers are playing, see do I actually like this game enough to get it. And that's ultimately what led to me not getting Thrones of Britannia. I watched Thrones of Britannia, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is it should be a good, a good period of history that I like. I like the Viking period of history. It's really interesting. And when you had all the different kings of England and whatever, that should have been ideal and right up my street. But instead, I watched some Let's Plays. It looked effectively like a reskin of Attila, which wasn't my favourite historical Total War game anyway, so I just didn't buy it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the next historical Total War game, unless they kind of give some assurances to the fans that they're going to do something different. They aren't going to release it early. They're going to learn from some of the mistakes that have happened with Warhammer 3 and take a bit more time. Like if they, let's say for example, announced it this year, they announced a Medieval 3 or an Empire 2 or whatever they else they come up with, as long as it's not a fucking saga game, and they say release date 2024, you know what, that would make me happy. It would be a bloody long wait to get a new historical title, but at least I would think to myself, well, they're not rushing it, and it would probably make me more likely to buy it on pre-order. Let me know what you think on that. Like, where do you stand at the moment with new historical Total War releases? What are your thoughts on, do you pre-order, or do you wait? Do you go onto YouTube and watch some Let's Plays of it first and see how it, and see how you get on? What is it like? So I'd be interested to get all of your input on that. But that's probably going to be my go-to, unless all of you are really desperate, whatever game it turns out to be, and if I'm still doing the YouTube channel by that time, which hopefully I will be, if you guys are just desperate to see it, videos on release date or whatever, I can get it and give it a go. It's just obviously not going to make me any money. I'm never going to make money from YouTube. I say never, I'm highly unlikely to. So yeah, that's my 2 cents here now. It's worthwhile noting, at this point, I'm putting together a stack near Memphis and bringing a general over from my more eastern provinces. And I'm not entirely sure what I am creating it for, and that's something I want you to let me know in the comment section down below as well. That army, that stack that I've just put together, that's got some Pharaoh's Bowmen, some Pharaoh's Guard, Desert Axemen, bit of Nar Spearmen, and I'm going to put a general into it. What should I do with it? Do you want me to send that over to help with the war against Parthia? Maybe, maybe not. Do you want me to send it over against Scipii near Leptis Magna, or maybe even another attack on Sicily? So I've got 2 full stacks on there. Do you want me to send it against to support the armies that are going to be attacking Greece against the Brutii? Do you want me to send it right the way round the Aegean Sea into what I believe is the Black Sea and attack the Pontins from the north? I am really open to suggestions. I don't think I should send it towards Parthia, because I think we got Parthia. Whilst we are currently under siege and what have you, and things aren't looking ideal, I don't think we need a whole new full stack that way, and I don't think the size of the prize is big enough. We ideally want to be opening either new fronts or supporting our new fronts that we're currently opening. But at the same time, I would be open to using it against the Pontins, because I think the Pontins have been around for long enough now. We need to be having at them and starting to destroy them. So let me know what you want to do with that stack, and you might have also seen that I've created another army that's made mostly from Siwa, that's going to join up with the settlement I have on my western front. I can't remember what it's called now. And I am going to send that army towards Leptis Magna to see if we can take it back from the Romans, take it back from the Scipii, for the Pharaoh, for the glory of Egypt. That's at the moment the plan, but again, I am open to suggestions. You can let me know what you want me to do, or give me at least suggestions on what you think I should do, and I will take stock. Because I really do like it when, obviously, look, I appreciate all of your comments, But tactical comments, I like those most. Because often that you either reaffirm what I want to do or what I think is a good idea, and I'm like, right, cool, I know what I'm going to do now. Or you give me suggestions of things that I had either not considered, or you let me know that something I had priorly considered is actually a better idea. So that I like. So please do continue to drop me those comments down below. I really I just enjoy your feedback. So that's all I would ask at this point. Yeah, so that's where we're at the moment with that. Now I think at this point I'm just doing my thing of cycling through the buildings. I know, look, if you look at those armies towards the north there, look at those Parthian armies. Hatra is in a bad shape right now, so we need to be recruiting, we need to be building. We don't have stone walls there. This is a problem. Parthia are striking back, and look, can you see another army to the north there? We really need to relieve the siege at Seleucia. And we need to prepare for an invasion, because look at that army, that's pretty useless, it's mostly peasants. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, right, how can we defeat this army the best and the quickest? We do that the best and the quickest by recruiting some mercenaries, but also by making sure I'm going to now pump out loads of recruitment in my northern Egyptian, and Gaza Strip settlements, ready to try and put some form of army together to protect Hatra. I don't think I'm going to be able to get there in time, but at least it might be a good relief force that we can put together, and we are just going to start cranking out recruitment, both for this turn and next turn, because it's essential. We really don't want to lose Hatra. We've had it for a while. If you remember, we initially got it through negotiation, we lost it, we've taken it back, it's been in our hands for a while, and this feels like a bit of a final throw of the dice from the Parthians, I'm not going to lie. You know, they relieved the siege at Artaxata so we can kind of bolster our position there a little bit, but if we can repel their attacks here and destroy those armies, then their final couple of settlements, they've got 3 settlements here, 2 or 3 settlements here, and then one way up north, which we probably won't get to just yet, near the Scythians. But if we can just repel these stacks, they are going to be vulnerable and ready for our armies to march on through and take them out. Similar to the Pontins, like the Pontins that we can see have only got one kind of big stack left and a decent army in Sinop. Apart from that, they're fairly weakened right now. And it's at this point I'm thinking how best to defend Artaxata. I'm thinking, well, look, we need to finish building the walls. Oh yeah, we have a go at their faction there. 42% chance. We're going to rolling the dice with our best assassin, hoping that he's not going to die. Please don't die. He doesn't die, but we don't get him either, but that's fine. He's still alive. So we're thinking to ourselves with Artaxata, what we're going to do. We're like, there's still 2 more turns until the stone wall is built, which is absolutely essential. What we're going to do about these frankly useless Desert Axeman units, we're going to merge them up and then just throw in some more troops. And we go for Nile Spearmen. Just because we need to defend ourselves. And we're also going to put a watchtower so we can just see who's coming at us. It's interesting now, we are now bordering the Scythians, and we do need to... It's something I've only just thought of in the moment now that I'm commentating it, and I wasn't thinking in the moment. We do need to be a little bit careful that we don't get surprise attacked by the Scythians, because that would suck if we got drawn into a war on all fronts. And that it basically makes settlements like Artaxata almost impossible to keep hold of, and you know, we might lose some ground at places like Hatra because we can't fight a war against the Parthians, the Scythians, and the Pontins all at the same time. And my hope is that, because I believe the Scythians are at war with either the Pontins or Parthians or both, you just kind of hope that that means in and of itself that they're not going to then attack us, because, you know, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. At least that's my hope anyway. But the AI can do some funny things, as if you've seen my Iceni campaign, you will note from early on where something happens that we're not quite expecting. So if you haven't seen that, go and see it, because it's interesting and fun.
Victory is ours, mighty one.
Now, relieving the siege at Seleucia. putting in some more recruitment, deciding what we want to build to help us protect ourselves when we end up going for the archery range. Now, make the most of our mercenaries, merge them up. We've effectively got a mercenary army only, with the exception of that one general who is not exactly our best. But we're going to go mop up that army there, that's the plan. But without the general, just in case. And then see if we can get the mercenaries back in time to protect ourselves, because that Parthian army to the north could reach Seleucia in one turn. So the last thing that we want to do is leave ourselves vulnerable and have a settlement there without a general inside to help defend it. So here we go. Another attempt at rolling the dice.
Take up your spear. Await my orders.
See if we can deal with this pesky Parthian army, mop them up, clear them out, and then get the mercenaries back into Seleucia ready to defend ourselves.
With all haste.
So going fairly standard here. Cavalry on the right flank, missile cavalry on the left, our eastern spearmen in front and the peltasts behind. We're going to switch on Cantabrian Circle just because they do have some decent missile units of their own. Move the cavalry out to the right, get the Cantabrian Circle going here in the centre. Camels running in circles. Pandemonium. So I accidentally selected their spearmen first instead of their horse archers, but that first kind of wave prompted them to target my my Bedouin archers. Now what I'm going to be doing is, as you can see, I'm already taking some fire from their horse archers. I'm going to send in my eastern spearmen, my mercenary spearmen. Cancel that charge because I'm nearly charging directly into some spearmen. But the plan is to try and catch those slingers. It's just proving more tricky to do that than first anticipated, because we don't want to be charging cavalry into their eastern infantry. They have attacked our eastern mercenaries with their slingers, which, as you can see, they get absolutely nommed. That's a terrible idea. So we're going to send our eastern infantry mercenaries versus their eastern infantry, and they have now left those slingers vulnerable, and we're also going to charge their horse archers. Instead, they pile in their horse archers against my spearmen. Not a great look. We can then pincer them all. They lose their general as well, and then pincer them all nicely like this, being aware that they still have a front against us right there with their eastern infantry. So we're going to send our mercenaries in there, see if we can take out the remainder of that Bedouin cavalry, and there we go. Now it's just a mopping up job, killing as many of that cavalry as we can, and then just clearing up the rest of these troops. Gotta love it. Two good battles in this episode. I am sorry if you wanted to see me fight those rebels, but I'll be honest, I was just so done with them. It takes time out of the episodes. I didn't want, there's plenty to, I really want to start motoring against the Romans now. I feel like it's time. I want you to see some Roman killing action, and I want to get into some Roman killing action. So I just felt, you know what, just get rid of them, auto-resolve it, we were always going to win. It's fine, relax. So let's just kill the last of their eastern infantry. Get that done, speed it up. And there it is. Put up a nice rally just at the end. Clear victory. They lost 636, we lost 100 and something. Easy game. Let's go. Let's go. And that army is completely destroyed. So we're now back. We have our general. We have some eastern mercenaries and what have you to help protect ourselves. And if you look at that army, we should be able to beat it. I mean, the eastern mercenaries have got low. The eastern infantry, excuse me, have got low morale. It's still not, you know, there's still not units that we want to be absolutely head-on charging cavalry into, but we're confident that what little we have can deal with them. Here you'll just see me starting to jig around and again diverting some troops over towards the east to deal with the threat that's coming at Hatra. We're going to move our spy over there just to see if there's anything big from the Ponton still coming.
Sire, engage the enemy.
And we're going to attack what little they have left. They've only got a couple of side chariots and what have you.
Prepare for battle.
But that's what we're going to do in the next turn. We will take out
Orders.
that little army they've got there. And throw in some recruitment. I believe at Nicomedia. Now, the invasion of Greece. It's time, my friends.
Ready to sail.
It is time. We're going to sort out this stack here. We've recruited ourselves a spy because we do, instead of having a full stack, we want a second spy coming over with us.
Orders. Mighty general.
And we don't have any archers in this army. And Cretan archers are, as I find out, pretty damn good. The Thracian mercenaries are okay, but I don't think they're worth all that, but the Cretan archers are. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a unit of Narspearmen, put it back into Crete, and get ourselves another unit of Cretan archers just to cap off that army. So we've got 2 units of cavalry, loads of spearmen, and a general and 2 good units of archers, and the invasion begins. We're going for Corinth first. Now what I stupidly forget at this point is that I've actually got a spy in that army and I haven't done anything with it, so I need to remember to do that on the next episode. And unfortunately our spy couldn't open the gates for us, so we're going to build siege equipment and begin. Athens will fall, Corinth will fall, we'll then take Sparta and see where we're at. And this is one of the things that I'm thinking about, like, that stack that I'm currently building and putting together in Memphis, should I throw it at Greece? Should I throw it at the Pontons? Should I throw it at the Scipii, at the Parthians? Let me know. I want to know what you want to see me do with it. Because we are at a bit of a flexible point at the moment where we've opened up a couple of fronts. This army is moving over. It's going to meet up with some troops from Cyrene. And look, I mean, Lepsus Magna is takeable. I mean, they've got some really good armies towards the west of that. Syracuse, we are recruiting some new Nile cavalry. It's our 2-turn cavalry. It's like the cavalry equivalent of our Pharaoh's Bowmen and Pharaoh's Guard. So we're sorting all of that out. And yeah, this is the episode drawing to an end. You know, the site of a famous battle. And what a battle it was. And yeah, you know, look guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and I'd say it's been productive. I don't believe from memory we actually managed to take any settlements in this, but we won some really key victories. We are prepared. We have landed in mainland Greece. We also, you know, from the previous episode, we have a foothold in Sicily. We are putting together armies to help us protect Hatra. And look, if it gets taken, it gets taken. We can have it back. It is what it is. That's a pretty beastly army. Lots of Pharaoh's Guard, 3 of Pharaoh's Bowmen, lots of Desert Axemen. You know, we're in good shape there. We're in pretty good shape. So let me know what you want me to do with that. But, as always, thank you very much for watching this. I really appreciate it. I hope that you don't mind this slightly different commentary because I'm not doing it live and you haven't been bored senseless by my wittering on. If you liked it, please do leave a like. Please leave me a comment down below. You know, any feedback you can give me on any of the points that I've raised or your opinions, I'll really, really appreciate it. So please do that. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate any subscriptions that you can give me. And also check out my IC9 campaign. I am considering doing another campaign on Barbarian Invasion Remastered. And it would be a barbarian faction. If you're interested in seeing that, again, let me know. I'm thinking about making it the Alemanni, just because I've never played as them before. So yeah, until next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.